One of Donald Trump's former besties from his first term, Mitch McConnell, is not going to go quietly into that good night in this breaking story. You remember good old Moscow Mitch, the guy who now sounds like the old man standing outside his house going, "Get off my lawn!" In this breaking story is going to punch and jab Trump until his bloody nose matches the color of his hair. Because Mitch McConnell, former Senate Majority Speaker and triple chin train wreck out of Kentucky, wanted to make sure that everyone knows that Donald Trump, in so many ways, is guilty. And before I show you that breaking story in just a few seconds, let's be clear that also, very recently, just in the last couple of months, McConnell has pounded on Trump twice regarding cabinet picks and the war in Ukraine. Take a quick listen.
Mitch McConnell, free man, liberated, right? Are we going to start seeing Senator McConnell, who obviously we know from the record doesn't like Donald Trump. Trump goads him whenever he possibly can. Are we going to see Mitch McConnell sort of lead an insurgent faction now that he's not going to be the Senate leader?
I mean, there might be a story of what he does behind closed doors compared to what you see publicly. I thought it was interesting that he was pretty quick to come out with a comment when Gates dropped out, kind of complimenting him, saying this was an excellent decision. But you're right. I mean, now that he isn't in the role that we saw the first time Trump was in power in the White House, now doesn't need to worry about sort of commanding each of the factions of the Senate. We know that he is somebody that is critical of the president-elect, and you are now kind of have the leeway to be more outspoken with that criticism.
In a new op-ed, Mitch McConnell, the outgoing Senate Republican leader, is urging President-elect Trump to reject calls within the Republican Party to embrace some manner of isolationism. McConnell writes in part, quote, "The administration will face calls from within the Republican Party to give up on American primacy. It must reject them." McConnell has long been a supporter of United States aid to Ukraine, among other issues.
You're shaking your head.
No, it doesn't. That doesn't align with his personality. However, he has teased in a way that he's going to be more outspoken than he has been over the 18 years that he's been the Senate Republican leader.
Yes, all of that. And who knows what McConnell might say next. I mean, this is a man who now is appearing to be way worse off than Joe Biden ever was in terms of mental acuity. But in this breaking story, he sat down with 60 Minutes and he let it fly regarding a particular day 4 years ago. Take a listen to this story. Breaking story in quotes, a mistake. Mitch McConnell takes swipe at Trump's move to pardon insurrection convicts. U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell, Republican of Kentucky, in a new 60 Minutes interview, swiped at the leader of his party. McConnell and Donald Trump have long had bad blood, but McConnell says he has put those past events behind him, despite the fact that Trump still targets him from time to time. Still, McConnell is just one of few Republicans to oppose Trump's defense pick, and now he says he still considers January 6th to be an insurrection, CBS News reports. In quotes, Senator Mitch McConnell, after stepping down from his Senate leadership position, bucked President Trump and was one of only 3 Republicans to vote against the president's nominee for defense secretary, the outlet reported on Sunday. Continuing the quotes, with confirmation hearings for Mr. Trump's cabinet nominees ongoing, people are wondering just what McConnell will do next. The 82-year-old said he feels free to be more outspoken about what he cares about than he has in the past, but it all seems unlikely that he'll be leading an opposition to lead the head of his party. Quoting McConnell saying, "President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day." NBC asserts that the senator still feels this way. In quotes, "It's still the way he feels about it 4 years later, and McConnell still considers January 6th an insurrection." He said he believes pardoning the people who were convicted in connection to the events that day was a mistake, he said in the new interview. In quotes, while McConnell's been critical of the president, he has almost always wound up retracting his clause. McConnell voted against convicting Mr. Trump at the Senate trial that took place after the president had just left office, a conviction that could have disqualified Mr. Trump for running for re-election. Well, gee, thanks, Mitch. We really appreciate that. But you know, Mitch, being the effervescent politician that you always have been and actually still are, it would have been really nice if you'd started barking about his potential executive order to pardon all of the actual felons who beat cops and essentially had a few die. It would have been nice if you'd done that before January 20th. And on top of that, let me add another statement about your past and Trump and what you could have done. What Mitch didn't do was he didn't vote to convict Donald Trump.
There's no question, none, that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day. No question about it. The people who stormed this building believed they were acting on the wishes and instructions of their president. The president did not act swiftly. He did not do his job. He didn't take steps so federal law could be faithfully executed and order restored. No. Instead, according to public reports, he watched television happily, as the chaos unfolded. He kept pressing his scheme to overturn the election.
As we said, that fight appears to be over before it began. And here's Margaret Brennan.
I simply ask Republicans in the Senate to give him a fair hearing and then an up or down vote. If you don't, then it will not only be an abdication of the Senate's constitutional duty, it will indicate a process for nominating and confirming judges that is beyond repair.
Let's let the American people decide.
Within minutes, Republican Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said no. Congress will wait until a newly elected president picks a Supreme Court justice.
Our view is this: give the people a voice in filling this vacancy.
And his recent so-called heroic moment of voting against Pete Hegseth, Mitch McConnell knew the vote would be 30-30 and that J.D. Vance would confirm him anyway. So while it's nice to see yet another politician, major politician, on the way out the door in the twilight of his life and career, who is technically what we define in politics as lame duck, come forth once again with what they really feel, that doesn't make him a hero. No one in Trumposphere is going to listen to the cranky old man standing on the front lawn, holding a garden hose, half limp, screaming, "Get off my lawn." Thanks, Mitch, but you could have done better. Whew! Breathe out there, folks. Enjoy your life. Keep smiling. Stay frosty.